I was saying, how's it going? We're here for the Division 3 racing in Canada. Apologies about that. Hopefully, also the stream quality, fingers crossed, is good. I am really hoping it is good. I don't know. So, we'll see how it goes. I'll leave you guys to watch the hot lap for Canada. I'll be back straight after. And there you have it. That is the hot lap for the for Canada. Sorry, I'm losing my words now. Apologies about that. But there you go. That, as I said, that's the lap for Canada. As you can also see, it's a wet quali for Division 3. So this is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how all these guys are going to get on with with such a wet qualifying. We've got a couple new guys in here again. Obviously, we had the Bread Bank and Norwich City, who started last week. And I think it was the Bread Bank actually was up in third, but then I don't know what happened. Didn't end up going well. And same with Norwich City. Norwich City actually ended up doing pretty well. Ended up getting some points in the end. And we've got two new guys. We got Cam, and we have. I did see him. Funny enough, it's actually the one that I'm spectating, Mr. Ricky Cardo. Ricky Cardo? Ricky Chardo? I don't know how you want to say it, but that's how. I mean, that's probably going to summarise how he's going to go from in D3. Oh, I can't believe I just caught that. But yeah, I need everyone to tell me: is the stream looking okay? Is it all okay? Only because from last time, it was pretty bad. I'm looking on YouTube sort of stream thing and it's saying the stream health is good. So I'm hoping there's no lag issues or if it's in bad quality. So I'm literally just keeping my fingers crossed about it at this point. But as I said, yeah, that Ricky Chardo, hopefully it will go a bit better for him in the latter parts of qualifying. Dave is currently on a lap. Having a little bit of a skid coming out of the second chicane. It is very tight and twisty. There's about 4 chicanes just in total on this track. So expect quite a few penalties going into the race. And I get the feeling that this race is going to be won on penalties. Just whilst we're also waiting for quite a few more people just to do their laps, we have got Maka, who is out on a lap at the moment. A few of these guys have already come across the line. Ghost, I think, is wanting to go on another lap because of 128.8. I don't think he would have wanted to do that. But as I said, at the moment, Norwich City is the one that's actually on top, doing a 120.4, so it's a good lap from the man in the Renault. I think he's actually taking over for Adri this week because he isn't actually going to be here for the next couple of races. So this will blow the championship wide open. I'm talking about the championship. I'm just going to get the standings of that up now for you. Bear with me. As Maka actually invalidated his first lap. So let me get my stuff up. Ibo for some reason is wanting to go on the wets. Not too sure why. But Dave has done a 133.9. I know he's going to want to go again. Maka's invalidated about 3 laps, and now it's just broken his wing. Big W's put in the chat saying that him and Educk both have a 5 grid place penalty. So it's not looking good for Big W, and it's not looking good for Educk. But we're just still watching a struggling Maka. But I'm going to go on board with this man here, who's actually second in the championship, and could take back that first place in the championship, because as I said, Adri isn't here. And with Adri not being here, he goes straight into second. Other than Mike, I didn't actually realise, ended up going on pole, but over a second as well. So Mike is looking good for this race for tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to go for him. Past few races haven't gone well for Welshman, so I feel like it's only up from here for him. So we'll look to see how he ends up doing. But as I said, James ended up posting going into second at the moment. It is still sort of early days in qualifying, as we watch one of the other guys who is also sort of, I would say, is in title contention as well, in the McLaren of Big W. He's coming up towards the line. Is he going to do a better time than what Mike has done? It doesn't look like it. Is it better than James? No, it's not. He's actually down in P6. So not looking good for the Australian who is living in Belgium. So we'll see if he ends up posting a better time than what he has done. Meanwhile, in the other Red Bull is Nico, the Spaniard, who is on a lap. Edok, I've just seen, who's gone up to P2. The only other one that's gone in the 19. So good going from the Racing Point. And also another one to keep an eye on is Wakursk. And now, last week, he did cause a little bit of a collision, but he was pretty quick. As I said, he was just the one that ended up causing a little bit of a collision last week, and it wasn't exactly ideal for him, but he can be quick. So we'll have to keep our eyes out on the Mercedes man. The other Mercedes, however, actually isn't here tonight either, Mr. Wouter. Now, I know he's had a good form of races lately, so we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. And one more thing as well, just before I do forget, happy birthday to the man in the Williams right here. He was in the pit in Coast Recon. He was taking part in this race on his birthday, so that is commitment at its finest. But going on back on board with Nico as he comes across the line, he did improve, but he didn't move. Had the improvement with no movement, is what I'd like to call it. As Wakursk is coming up to the line, it is a valid lap and goes P11. So good job from him. Now, the reserve, as I said, he's a new driver. He is a reserve for this week of Mr. Ricardo. I'm just going to say Ricardo, why not? So Mr. Ricardo, will he actually be able to post a valid lap this time? We'll see as he comes across the final corner, coming up towards the line. What does he do as his time? He does a 121.5. Just goes just behind Aledi. So not a bad lap from him. Meanwhile, we'll go on board with Jasper, who I know is currently on a lap as well. Whereabouts is he? He's coming up towards the hairpin, which leads up towards the the third DRS zone. Is it second? No, sorry, second DRS zone. Third one's on the back straight. So let's have a look. Will Jasper be able to do better on his lap? It shows he's in 0 ERS, so I think he's just preparing to go for his lap. So we'll go on board with Maka, who I've just seen just cut the chicane massively. I'm not too sure a lot of these guys have actually practiced in wet conditions, so that's probably why they're sort of going all over the place in the wet. Where about Mike? Mike's just smacked the wall, but he is up on his time. Will it be an improvement? No, it isn't. I think him smacking that wall has just dampened on his time. He was up by about 3/10. So unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, he's going to have to come in, get those tyres changed, get his wing changed, and straight back out of the pits. Meanwhile, the man in second place, which is Norwich City, will he be able to improve more on his time and even go on to pole at this stage? We'll have to keep an eye out as there's a Toro Rosso just going very slow on the racing line. I don't know who that, I think that's Cam. So hopefully it doesn't damper on any of these guys' laps. But Norwich City actually makes his way into the pits. James has carried on doing some more laps. He's still in P3, but has improved on his time to a 19.5. So we'll keep an eye on the Haas driver, because it is supposed to be dry in the race. So it looks like he may just stick with these set of tyres just for qualifying. And it may even pay off for him. Ibo is currently out on a lap on the set of the wets. And I've also just realised I didn't end up reading you guys the championship standings, but I'm going to keep an eye on this at the moment, and I'll probably read you the championship standings when we go just like transition from quali into the race. But James now opening, well, he hasn't even got any DRS, but because of the weather. But James now coming down the back straight on the last chicane, very easy to invalidate on that, making sure he stays well away from the wall of champions. Has a little bit of a slide coming out the final corner, but is it an improvement? It is. In fact, he goes on pole doing a 19.2. Great effort from the Haas driver. As I said, if he ends up winning this race, he goes straight back to the top of the championship standings. If my maths isn't awful. Let's have a look. Oh no, he doesn't. My maths is awful. So Adri has actually got himself a race lead at the moment. Well, a race lead and more. He's 32 points ahead of James. With, who's that in third place? Is that Nico? No, it's MCR. So MCR's the one that's currently in third. Unfortunately, he's not racing tonight. So all the points are up for grabs for this man on your screen. So we'll see if he ends up doing, well, if he ends up winning, he'll only be 7 points behind Adri. If he picks up the fastest lap as well, he'll be only 6 points behind him. And that means Adri has got his work cut out for him when he comes back from his little break. Meanwhile, on board with the racing point of Eduk as he comes up to one of 2 long straights in Canada. Or one of 3, shall I say. As he comes up to the final chicane now. A very tight and twisty section. Make sure he stays away from the wall of champs. Manages to do so. It doesn't look like it'll be an improvement. I think he's actually just starting his lap now. So we'll see if we can catch the end of his lap when he has got it done. Back on board with the Red Bull of Nico. And we'll see if he improves on his time as well. A 120.9. I don't think that's where Nico would want to be at the moment. And meanwhile, in the background, you see his teammate also just on his outlap and quite a few cars that are just ahead of him as well. So he's going to want to hope that this traffic does not affect him as he comes up to the final chicane. Manages to take that nice and very nicely, actually, as he comes up towards the line. Does he improve on his lap time? Yes, he does. He goes into P7 doing a 20.3, and I know he's going to want to go again. So once again, we'll keep an eye on the Red Bull driver. Who else have we got on a lap? I've match just started. I'm just trying to use the furthest up ahead. Norwich City is actually stuck behind Big W. Where's Fred? Fraser in the second chicane coming up towards the hairpin. What about Eduk? Is he going for another lap? It looks like he is going for another lap, so we'll keep an eye on the racing point. As he goes across the final chicane, there is a Alfa Romeo just ahead of him. I think that is Jasper. Let's keep an eye on Jasper's time. Does he improve? No, he does not. Eduk does go up to P3, and I think that was actually Cloudy Cloud just up ahead of him. So we've only got a minute left to go in qualifying now. Smitsky coming across the final chicane, coming up to the line. It's not an improvement. I think he's actually just starting his final lap now. So once again, we'll have to keep an eye on the Renault driver, who is down in P11 and wanting to try and pick up as many points for Renault this evening. But on board with Jasper, as he now comes down the back straight, we have got, I think that is Big W, or that's Ricardo TV. I'm not too sure, but here we go. Jasper now coming up to the final chicane. Hasn't invalidated that lap, so that looks like that is going to be good. What is he going to do as his time? It looks like it's going to be a 21.1, goes into P13. And I think that is probably the best that he is going to get, unless it does look like he's opting to go for another lap. So once again, we've got so many people we need to try and keep an eye on. Well, Ghost goes into the pit, so he's not going to be able to do another lap. Ghost, the birthday boy, is coming up the back straight along with Smitsky as well. Redbank and Cam have both retired from the session. Where are Maka and Ibo? Because they're the only two that haven't set a lap. Maka's on the back straight now. Ibo is just coming around the final corner. So, Ibo and Maka, once again, these two will have to keep an eye on as well. Because they are just starting their laps right now. In fact, we'll stick on board with Ibo. I said he hasn't set his lap yet. And that's entering exit out of turn 1 and turn 2. Coming up towards the first tight and twisty chicane. It can catch a lot of people out here. Takes that very nicely. And this looks like this could actually be a really good lap from Ibo. What was that, a 23.4? James has retired from the session, so we'll see if anyone tries to dethrone him. Either Mike hasn't even been able to improve, and I don't know about Big W. We'll see if he has also just realised that Ricardo TV is also starting in 12th at the highest. Ibo managing to take that second chicane, not too bad actually. So it's going well for him so far. Coming up towards the hairpin, this is actually looking like it's a good lap from the Williams driver. Ghost goes a little bit too wide out of the hairpin. We have Alfa Romeo, I think that was Cloudy Cloud just moving out of the way for everyone. But here we go, Ibo. Oh, Eduk has knocked down James into P2 and is now on pole. But we still have these guys that are still on their laps. Ibo is actually looking like this is going to be a really good lap. Could this actually be a pole for Ibo? No, it won't. It is P15 though, so that is a good lap from Ibo. What about Maka? He's coming across the line now. It didn't actually end up setting a lap, so it was invalid from the reserve in the Mercedes. What about Aledi? He looks like he's going to be the final one and just ended up missing his braking point and just scurries off into the pits, and Dave has followed him. Frey is the only one that still shows his out, and he also goes into the pits. Why does it say Aledi hasn't gone in the pits? Oh, strange one. But Cloudy Cloud being the last one as well, and he is just limping his way into the pits as well. So that is qualifying for Division 3. Eduk coming out on top, only just ahead of James. 6 thousandths of a second ahead of the second place man in the championship. And speaking of that, now let's go through the championship standings. So, with an impressive performance from the Spaniard in the Renault last week, Adri is the one still leading the championship and has actually grown that championship lead by 32 points. So Adri now on 129 points, but is not here today. James is in P2 on 97 points, looking to see if he can gain on him as much as possible. MCR is in P3 with 90 points, again not here today as well, so it's given James an even bigger gap to try and extend that from P3 and catch up to Adri as much as he can. Heated is in P4 on 87 points, and funny enough, actually Heated isn't here either. So a lot of these guys at the top aren't here, and it's looking like James could just go with it. And same with Big W. Big W is on 81 points in P5. As you can see, the standings for the classifications for qualifying. But Eduk's actually got a 10 grid place penalty. So James will be starting on pole with Mike in second. And who was that in third? Frey. Frey will be starting third. Wow. I think that's probably the best that Frey's going to be starting. So impressive from the Spaniard. If there's not one Spaniard that's showing up, it's another one. But as I said, Big W in 5th on 81 points, looking to see if he can overtake Heated and possibly MCR as well. But with that 10 grid place penalty, it's not going to help. Eduk is in 6th, again, well, on 67 points, again with the 10 grid place penalty, even though he qualified on pole. So he'll be starting 11th. We'll see where he ends up coming out. Mr. Wuta, who isn't here, is in 7th on 65 points. A lot of these top guys aren't here for Canada, which is a bit strange. But it's at least given some more points to the guys at the midfield end of D3. Nico is in P8 with 63 points, so 6th through 8th. Only 4 points between them. Looking very tight. And he's also looking to see if him and his teammate, Ivan Mike, who's in 9th, will get any more points in the standings. But yeah, I said Ivan Mike in 9th with 57 points. Smitsky is in 10th with, how many points does that say? Sorry, 44 points. Excuse me. Aledi in the other racing point on 38. Ryan B in the Ferrari on 31. Jasper in the Alfa Romeo is on 23 points. With Frey, I said his best qualifying at the moment is on 20 points, and looking to see if he can even improve on that even more. I did say Frey was third, but he's actually starting in 4th, so that was my bad on that one. Dave is the one in 15th on 14 points, with Wilkursk sitting in 16th on 11. Car Cannon is the one sitting in 17th. Got my numbers confused then. Yeah, Car Cannon sitting in 17th on 9, along with Ghost Recon also on 9 points, sitting in 18th. Ibo in 19th on 8, and Norwich City in 20th, sitting on 4 points. So as I said, that was they're the championship standings. These top 3 look like they have really gone ahead of the rest of the pack. When you got, yeah, these 3 are all here. Then you got Frey that's just sort of leading his own little pack. Then you have Ryan B leading his own little pack. For some reason, it says one of the cars are in the pit. It's a bit strange. But yeah, now we have everyone coming up towards the line. Somehow Macca's managed to get past a few people. So now as we just wait, in fact, let me really quickly have a look at what tyres everybody is on. We've got a mix of the softs and the mediums. We've got 2 people on the hards. The hards are Ibo and Macca. And you've got James, Frey, Ryan B and Aledi all on the mediums. The rest are on the softs as we wait for the 5 red lights now. And away we go. And Ivan Mike looks like he's got a brilliant start ahead of James, and same with Norwich City. Mike around the outside of the Haas, and Mike is now into the lead of the Grand Prix. Norwich City all over the back of James. Meanwhile, we have Redbank going up the inside of Frey, going in towards turn 2. Eduk has managed to gain himself a couple of places as well. It looks like there's been a bit of an incident towards the back of the grid, but there's still too wide, people going too wide. Who else we got? We got Jasper and Dave. Jasper's still maintaining that P13, but Dave is all over the back of Jasper. Meanwhile, up ahead, Frey and Eduk both going side by side in towards turn 5, and it looks like Frey is keeping that place for P5. Meanwhile, Norwich City and James both side by side going in towards the second chicane. James has had to cut that just so they'd avoid contact, and James is now down into P3. Meanwhile, Frey, Ricardo and Ryan B, just yellow flags that's going on. I think that is Big W because he's dropped down quite a few places yet, but he has lost a lot of front wing. So Big W, even though most of his championship rivals aren't there, he doesn't look like he's doing himself any favours whatsoever. But it has been a good start from the Red Bull up ahead. And meanwhile, speaking of Red Bulls, we have a Ferrari versus Red Bull situation going in towards the final chicane. Nico manages to hold that P7, and I think someone's actually just gone to the pits. Eduk has got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But he has gotten himself wing damage, so he's going to try and get that changed ASAP. There's a Red Bull that's round. That's Nico. And people have retired. There's a lot of people going. Oh, no. Oh, no. Jasper is out of the race. It looked like that was Ryan B tapping Nico, and is a virtual safety car. So Eduk making his way into the pits and coming out. It's helped him massively. That was a massive crash into turn 1. I don't know what had happened there. All I just saw was a Red Bull that was just sideways. Jasper goes straight into the back of him, and I think quite a few other people lost their front wing as well. As I said, the virtual safety car is out at the moment, but it looks like we may be going again very shortly. And there we go, the green flags are out, and we are racing once again. Nico all over the back of Macca. Macca's actually done well. He's moved up 10 places on it, and he's only in lap 2. So he's done a very good job of making his way up to P10. And same with Ibo up into P12 as well. But it looks like Nico may have a bit of wing damage. And that is Wakursk making his way into the pits. So Maka now up into 9th, Ibo now up into 11th, both on the hard tyres. These two are definitely ones to watch out for going deeper into this race. But this battle for the lead is far from over. Norwich City all over the back of the Red Bull, and Bredbank is all over the back of the Renault. Norwich City having a DRS. Ivan Mike is a sitting duck for these two cars that are behind, but he is maintaining the lead at the moment, and he's doing a good job of it. James has already dropped back 2.5 seconds from these guys, and Ricardo TV is already 2.5 seconds behind him as well. So these guys, we could be seeing a very spicy lead for spicy battle for the lead of this race. Bredbank looks like he's even closer to what the Norwich City is to Ivan Mike. We'll have to keep an eye on the Ferrari as we are coming up towards the final chicane. Down the back straight of the DRS. Norwich City moves to the inside, trying to defend the inside of the chicane. Manages to hold that P2 and gets actually a better exit than what the Ferrari has. So I don't think the Ferrari is going to be able to get a move done on the Renault. Although saying that, he is all over the back of him. And just has to stay in P3 for now. Meanwhile, towards the midfield of the grid, Nico has got the DRS on Maka coming up towards turn 1. And Nico is just going to have to stay behind the Mercedes driver at the moment. But with Maka on these hards, and same with Ibo on the hards and all, keeping up with Nico, these two are definitely ones to look out for towards the end of the race, because they're going to look to opt to go on the softer compounded tyre at the end of the race, whereas some of these guys will end up being on the hards, some of these guys will end up being on the mediums. We could be seeing a good result for those two that are on the hards, as long as they don't have an incident happen. And as said, Ibo is keeping up with Nico as well, sort of keeping it around that 1 second gap. If he manages to just improve that a little bit more, he will be able to get himself DRS. In fact, he is within the DRS range, and looks like he may even have it on Nico. Let's keep an eye on Ibo. Has he got the DRS? He does. He is still in hot lap though and has got no ERS, but with that DRS it is going to help him massively. But this battle for P9, here we go. Nico and Maka, I have gone off of it. I'm very sorry, but Nico has managed to go down the inside of Maka coming towards the chicane. I think Maka just backed out of it, and Nico has managed to keep that DRS and is up into P9, looking to see if he can chase down Sminsky in the Renault in P8. Meanwhile, the two Williams are both battling for P11. Ibo and Ghost. I think Ghost tried to get past him, but just sort of held himself back a bit. Edux sets himself the fastest lap of the race. But there is a lot of pressure. Big W has gotten himself the first 3 second time penalty. Obviously other than Edux with the 5 second stop go for speeding in the pits. But Big W is all over the back of these two Williams. So these two may look to try and see if they can hold a bit of a formation on Big W. But no, Big W is going to want to try and get past these two ASAP. Oh, Ghost looks like he's got a much better run than what Ibo has done. Will Ghost look to go down the outside of Ibo? I think Ibo has just allowed him to go past, and Big W is also looking to see if he can go around the outside of the Williams. If he does, it's a good move, and it is. What a move from the McLaren around the outside of the hairpin. Good job up from him. Now back up to this battle for the lead. Norwich City looking to see if he can go down the turn 1 on the Welshman of Ivory Mike. Not able to do so. Norwich City all over the back of the Red Bull. Very close to hitting the back and losing part of his wing. He looks like he's already broke the DRS from the Bredbank, so be interesting to see how he does. Maka has made himself go into the pits, so he did go on the set of the hards, and I think he must have gotten himself wing damage. So Maka, a strategy that could have worked so well, is now already in the pits for a set of the mediums, so he's going to have to opt for 2 sets of mediums for the end of the race. But that means we do have both of the Mercedes battling for P15. It isn't a points position, but it'd be interesting how these two get on, as Nico has actually left the session. Nico has lagged out of the session here, and it's not looking good for this Red Bull driver. Meanwhile, Aledi and Ricardo TV both, I think Aledi managed to just go straight up down the inside of the McLaren. I'm not too sure what happened there, but well, yeah, I'm just not too sure what happened. As Ricardo TV picks himself up a 3 second time penalty as well. Ghost still all over the back of the McLaren. Although, actually, sorry, saying that, Big W was the one that actually got past Ghost. So, Big W now moving his way up a few more places despite him having wing damage. This battle for the lead, though, it is looking very close between these top three, and I'm sure all three of these guys are going to be dripping with sweat. As Ryan picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, Nico has managed to join back in the session, so that is good to see he is back in. Has lost himself out a bit of time, but hopefully he can make that one back up. I've actually realised the Breadbank's actually got past Norwich City, so now the Breadbank in P2 looking to see if he can charge down Iberbryn Mike for the race win. As Breadbank actually picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, so that is not looking good for him. It is not looking good for his hopes for winning the race, as these other two up ahead, or these two that are also battling for the lead, have not got themselves a penalty. Nico has managed to get himself out of the session once again. And that means that Big W is now through into P9, and Ghost has now managed to get himself through into P10. Meanwhile, we do still have this battle for P5 between Frey and Aledi. The pair of them still going at it. As said, for P5, Enoch has managed to get past Ibo for the final points position. But it doesn't look like Aledi's actually close enough to get a move done on the Toro Rosso driver. Still on board with this battle for the lead of the race. Breadbank looks like he is closer than ever, and I'm going to stick on board with the Ferrari. In fact, I'm going to stick on board with the Renault driver to see if he is going to end up closing up. And same with the Breadbank to the Red Bull driver. It doesn't look as if he will get a move done going in towards the final chicane, but Norwich City actually makes his way into the pits. So we'll see how he gets on coming out of the pits and where he ends up coming out, and when these guys do end up making their pit stop. Norwich City is looking to see if they can undercut these guys. We'll see how they get on. But Frey, in fact, Aledi's actually gotten past Frey. I didn't realise that. Apologies. So Aledi now up into P4, ahead of the Toro Rosso driver. And once again, that's another thing we will have to keep our eye on. Breadbank so close to Iberbryn Mike, but just made that little mistake, and that has cost him a lot of time. As Norwich City also picks up a 3-second time penalty, so Mike is the only one that hasn't picked himself up a penalty yet that was fighting for the lead of the race. Meanwhile, we have got this battle for P6 between Norwich City and Ricardo TV. In fact, Ricardo TV's lost himself out 2 places. Smiski's even gotten past him as well. So what has happened with the McLaren driver, I do not know. Interesting one. This battle for P4 is, well, now P4 is very much heating up. As we have, Mike has got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I did say about that, him not having a penalty, and now he's gotten himself a penalty. Frey, though, taking the final chicane very aggressively, and is right on the back of the racing point. We'll be able to get past this. This will be for P2. No, he does not. Aledi has a little bit of a lock-up, which compromises run in towards turn 2. Frey looking to see if he can go around the outside of the racing point in towards turn 2. Not able to do so. He's just going to have to stick behind, but now coming in towards the first chicane. Will he be able to go down the inside of it? Very risky move. Has to cut it a little bit just so they avoid contact, and is going to have to stay down in P3. So that is Aledi still remaining in P2, but it doesn't look like it's over yet. Frey looking to see if he can maybe do a switchback on the racing point. Coming up towards the first DRS straight. DRS is now wide open for the Toro Rosso driver. Will he be able to get past? Coming up towards the second part of the chicane. No, he does not. He's just going to have to stay behind the racing point for now. And we'll see if he ends up making a move down towards the final chicane. As the Breadbank picks himself up yet another time penalty. But now with the DRS open for the Toro Rosso driver, we have got Iberbryn Mike just behind these guys as well. Frey is still going to have to stay behind, but he is taking that final chicane a lot more aggressive than what the Racing Point is. And DRS is now open for the Toro Rosso. He is right on the back of the Racing Point. Will he be able to go around the outside of turn 1? This will be an amazing move. He does this, a bit of contact, didn't leave enough room. But, excuse me, a little bit of a tap, and Frey has been sent into a half spin. Sorry, apologies about that. My throat feels like it's about to go. But I've also just realised Mike has actually come out ahead of Norwich City and Bredbank. And now Bredbank is looking like he's losing out quite a bit because he's now behind the Toro Rosso of Frey, and Frey has not made his pit stop yet. Meanwhile, this is up ahead. I haven't been able to catch it pretty quickly, but Aledi, he's trying to hold around the outside of the chicane, has lost 2 places in one corner, and that looks like that's actually given Norwich City a very good run. And over right, it looks like he's been compromised a little bit out of his run. That's also given Frey the opportunity to get past Aledi as well for P4. Norwich City dives one up the inside. Mike manages to do the switchback on the hairpin, and that is now him back up into P2. Meanwhile, Frey has managed to get himself past the Racing Point, but it's not over yet because Frey has got himself DRS, Aledi has got himself DRS, and I know Aledi can take that final chicane a little bit cautiously just so he doesn't have to get a penalty. But Norwich City looking to see if he can get past either Bryn Mike coming up towards turn 1. Will he be able to do so? Bredbank also looking to see if he can get past the Racing Point up into towards turn 1. This is great racing from 2nd all the way down into 6th place. Bredbank, man, squeezes Aledi out. That wasn't good from the Ferrari, squeezes out the Racing Point. But that is Aledi now down into 6th place. Either Bryn Mike manages to retain that P2. Frey still holds on to P4 for now, but is under a lot of pressure from the Ferrari of Bredbank. So will Bredbank get past the Ferrari, past the Toro Rosso? He does touch the back end of him a bit, but they are still side by side going in towards the second chicane. Bredbank is he's not doing well here. He keeps on just sort of pushing people into, well, off the track, and almost pushed Frey into the bridge for the chicane and almost made him basically DNF from the race. So Bredbank needs to be more aware of drivers that are around him. Despite he has got to make the corner, he needs to be careful. Wow, that was some serious racing then from those guys. And Bredbank picks himself up yet another time penalty. So if I'm tallying it up correctly, he's now on 9 seconds of penalties. But now Frey makes his way into the pits, hopefully not for a wing change. But Ibo and Big W now battling. This is for P10 going up towards the final chicane. Big W just opts to sort of stay out of it for now, and in fact makes his way into the pits as well. So I think Big W's gotten himself some more wing damage and all. So it's gone from bad to worse for the McLaren driver, although he may look to see if he can take the hards to the end of the race. James hasn't actually made his pit stop as of yet. He's just sort of keeping quiet at the front of the grid. But when he does make that pit stop, I'm looking to see him probably come out around where Ricardo TV or maybe even Wakursk will be. Meanwhile, I'm going to quickly go on board with this battle for P11, and Smitsky is all over the back of the birthday boy of Ghost Recon. Smitsky not able to get him moved on. Both of these two are on fresh set of tyres as well. So one of them will end up sort of we'll see which one of these two come out on top, as the 2 Racing Points have switched positions. I think it was more of just like a bit of team orders going on there. So Edok now up into P5, still yet to make a stop, the same with the other Racing Point of Aledi. Here we go, Smitsky, will he get past? And also Ibo and Maka going side by side as well. Maka now up into P9, and I don't think Ibo wanted to fight it going out of the chicane, so fair play from Ibo, but he's looking to see if he can come back on Maka going up towards turn 1. Ibo looking to see if he can go down the inside of Mercedes. He doesn't, and just stays down in P10. Smitsky stays down in P12, couldn't get past the other Williams. And in fact, the 2 Williams are actually doing pretty well so far, 10th and 11th. They're not doing too bad. As saying that, I've just given the commentator's curse to Ibo. He picks himself up with a 3-second time penalty. So not really what he would want to happen, as Mike is gaining so much time on James up ahead. He's gained that much time. He's now managed to pull out that DRS gap from him and Norwich City, and even the Bredbank is now out of that DRS from the Renault. So Mike, I think, is looking to see if he can set the fastest lap off the race as the Bredbank picks himself up. Yet another 3-second time penalty. So if I count that correctly, that's now 12 seconds worth of penalties he's got, as James has actually made himself into the pits. So James has gone on a set of the soft tyres, so he may look to see if he can go on a set of the mediums towards the end of the race, or maybe even himself yet another set of the soft compound. But he has come out ahead of Ricardo TV, and in fact has only just come out just behind Aledi. And James, on these softer tyres, he's going to want to try and get past this Racing Point ASAP. And with Aledi not making that pit stop as of yet, James, yeah, he's definitely wanting to try and get past the Racing Point really quickly. Does brake a little bit later than what he should have done, which may compromise his run a little bit. But Aledi having that little bit of a slide, James looking like he is going to just tear through him. But he's going to have to wait at the moment, unless he goes for a move into the hairpin. I think he's looking to go for a move on the hairpin, looking to see if he can go around the outside of Aledi in the hairpin. Will he be able to do so? No, he does not. He's just going to have to stay behind now, but because he's going to have the much better run coming out of that hairpin, Aledi just looking to see if he can just stay on the inside. On the outside, sorry. James now side by side with the Racing Point driver. And that is James now up into P5. Aledi does opt to go in the pit. I think just try to avoid him as much as possible as well. Bredbank, I've also realised, has actually gotten past Norris City. So Norris City now down into P3. And this battle for P2 is heating up a lot between the Ferrari and the Renault driver. Meanwhile, James is now looking to see if he can chase down the other Racing Point in P4. Doesn't look like he's actually catching up quickly though, so bit of an odd one, as Smitsky and Aledi are also side by side. Smitsky has gotten past Aledi and managed to jump him in the pits, and Ghost has also even jumped him as well, so Ghost now up into P8. Maka has still got to make himself another pit. Well, to be fair, a lot of these guys have still got to make them another pit stop. Frey is the only one that isn't actually going to have to make another stop, him and Big W. So where these two will come out after all the pit stops, we'll have to wait and see. As Smitsky looking to go down the inside of Ghost in towards the chicane. It's very risky going too wide there, and that is the consequences of that. Smitsky has been sent into a half spin and has lost another place to Aledi now as well. It's just unfortunate because it is not a place you want to try and go too wide in, but if you're fighting for position, you've got to keep the gap between them. Meanwhile, James and Eduk. Eduk looks like he's just about to lose out this place to the Haas driver, and he has indeed. So Eduk now down into 5th place and James into 4th, and is looking to see if he can chase down those guys that are just up ahead. Well, I say just up ahead, they're 8 seconds up the road from him, but with him being on the soft compound tyre, I don't see why he wouldn't end up catching up to these guys pretty quickly. As Norwich City is all over the back of Bredbank still for P2. He will have the DRS on the Ferrari, and he looks like he's got a better exit than the Ferrari as well coming out of the hairpin. He looks like he is pretty close to the Ferrari. Will he be able to get him with done going towards the chicane? I don't think he'd want to. I think he just want to wait until turn 1 to opt for a move. Norwich City did have a little bit of touch on the wall of champions. Doesn't look like it's affected him at all. Well, saying that, actually, it looks like he lost a bit of time out to the guy just up ahead of him. Mike has now pulled out a 3-second gap to the guys that are just behind him. And Frey picks himself up yet another 3-second time penalty, so not good for the Toro Rosso driver. As Aledi's actually also gotten past Ghost Recon, I didn't catch that one. And Smitsky is all over the back of the Williams driver for P9. Is just going to have to stay behind him at the moment. But once again, I don't think it is over yet because he's still just sort of lingering behind him. And same with Ghost, actually just sort of lingering behind Aledi. As Norwich City and Bredbank have changed positions. So Norwich City has managed to go past the Ferrari driver. Excuse me. And Norwich City is now up into P2. And Bredbank now down into P3. And it's already almost like he's lost out a second to him already. It's a bit of an odd one. As Smitsky and Ghost Recon once again, both going side by side. Ghost looks like he got a bit of a bad exit out of the first DRS straight. And both still side by side once again. And this time Ghost is the one that has been sent into the half spin. I think that is payback for what happened last time with him and Smithy when they both done that chicane, as James has now set himself the fastest lap of the race. Good going for the man in the Haas. As Bredbank is still just sitting all over the back of the Renault. Got a much better exit out of the chicane. And here we go. Now both going too wide in towards, coming up towards the first DRS straight. Norwich City actually managed to break that man relatively well. And Bredbank has got himself yet another 3-second time penalty. And we've only just reached halfway through the race. Meanwhile, Norwich City has got himself that DRS, keeping the outside line, not allowing Bredbank to get past him whatsoever. And Norwich City is defending this P2 for his life. Will Bredbank send one up the inside of the hairpin? No, he doesn't. He just opts to stay behind him. It does have a little bit of a tap, though. Hopefully, he has not got himself any wing damage now. Compromise is running a little bit coming up to the back straight. But I don't know if it's going to affect him because he is still all over the back of the Renault driver. Oh, this is some very hard defending, very hard driving. Bredbank has managed to get past the Renault driver, and these guys do just keep on swapping positions for P2. But at this rate, Bredbank is going to end up towards where Aledi, maybe even where Maka is at the end of this race, if things keep on going the way they are. Although I don't think Aledi's going to have to make another stop, so Aledi, I think, is actually ahead of... I don't know if he's actually ahead of James. I think when James and Norwich City come out of the pits, they may be around where he is. So we'll have to keep an eye on Aledi when these guys do make their stops. Norwich City still all over the back of the Ferrari driver. Oh, Norwich City's actually got himself any wing damage, and both. Oh, Norwich City brakes very late, takes the Ferrari of Bredbank with him, and Norwich City now into second. He's going to have to give that place back up. That was not a great move from the Renault driver, and now with him having wing damage as well, it's gone bad to worse for the Renault driver. It was some hard but fair battling between the pair of them, but Norwich City, I think that was out of anger, has just gotten himself wing damage and looks like he's about to lose out this P2 spot. He has indeed, and now Bredbank into P2. Norwich City has gotten himself another 3-second time penalty, and look who's all over the back of them. The man on the soft tyre of James, although it doesn't look like Norwich City is actually giving up this battle between them, has had to brake very early as well due to his wing damage. So now James looking to see if he can get past him, but not able to do so. He's just going to have to stay behind him, and probably in one of the worst places he can stay behind. Especially with him having wing damage. Sminsky's just picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. James looks like he had just made a little bit of a mistake coming out of turn 7? Yeah, it's turn 7. Ryan Bees picks himself up with a 3-second time penalty. Ricardo's picked himself up with a 3-second time penalty. James has hit the back of the Renault, and hopefully he has not gotten himself any wing damage because that will compromise his race. But James now with the DRS on those soft tyres. Oh, this is going to be tight. In fact, Bredbank and Norwich City both opt to go into the pits. Both of them didn't get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that is good. But it is this man up ahead here. He has managed to gain himself quite a margin up ahead of these guys. The only problem is that he's now got James chasing him. Both of these guys have still got to make another stop. Norwich City and Bredbank have both made their stops. One's probably had to change their wing, but I don't think the Bredbank had to. Although saying that, he's 5 seconds behind him. So I think that both of them had to make their wing change. In fact, Norwich City didn't make a wing change. And with that, that's why Norwich City is now 5 seconds up ahead of the Bredbank. But with Ivor having that 5-second time penalty for spinning in the pit lane, originally, he's going to have to look to come into the pits shortly. I think he did start on a set of the... Was it the softs he started on, or was it the... I think it was the softs he started on. So is he opting to maybe go for a soft, medium, medium? Or could he even go for the strategy of a soft, medium, soft? But with that gap, Norwich City is 24 seconds behind either Bryn Mike, and Mike still, as I said, has to make that pit stop, but Mike with that 5-second penalty that he needs to serve, Norwich City having no wing, and Bredbank being 5 seconds behind him, changing his wing. All of this is actually wrapped into James's favour. But Mike is going to go, looking to go on the set of the softs for the end of the race. James looking to see if he can go on the set of the soft for the end of the race as well. We could be having a very good battle on our hands here for the for the win of the race. As I said, Mike hasn't actually got himself a proper penalty yet. He's only gotten himself a 5-second stop and go. And he's going to have to serve that on his pit stop. James, I think, has a 3-second time penalty. Norwich City, I think, has about 6 or 9 seconds of penalties. And the Bredbank is about 15 seconds. And also, speaking of that, both of those have actually come out ahead of the 2 racing points, which is the 2 that I was saying we need to keep our eyes on. But Mike, also, I forgot, he has wing damage as well. I completely forgot about that. So Mike might even have to get his wing changed. And if he does, James will be your race leader. We have got this battle for P11 between Big W and Ibo. Big W going around the outside of Ibo, going in towards the second chicane. Oh, sorry, third chicane even. And that is him now up into P11, looking to see if he can chase down Wakursk. Just to try and get as many points as he possibly can. The Bredbank has just set himself the fastest lap and is catching up to Norwich City rapidly. I'm thinking probably in the next 3 to 4 laps, he will be where that Renault driver is and looking to overtake him. Apologies about this as well. I am starting to lose my voice a little bit. James has managed to close that gap up to 7 seconds. Mike is going to need to pit. And he does make that pit stop. Will James follow him into the pits as well? Luckily, Mike didn't speed this time. James doesn't, so James will be your race leader at the moment. Mike does make that wing change. Did have that 5-second stop go. So where's that going to put him out in with Norwich City and the Bredbank? Mike changing that wing. Where is Norwich City? He's just coming across the final chicane now. Mike now just coming out of his pit box. There's Norwich City. Where's the Bredbank in all of this as well? Mike's behind them. So Mike has now come out behind those 2 and is side by side with Edok. In fact, has actually just managed to keep ahead of the Racing Point driver, but Mike on a set of the softs. Meanwhile, those 2 guys up ahead of him on a set of the mediums. Bredbank with no wing damage, but Norwich City with wing damage. So Mike, he's got a charge. He's got to go on a charge. He is 18 seconds behind James, so James, when he pits, we will have to wait and see where he ends up coming out, because he could end up coming out maybe around where Bredbank is, maybe even where either Bryn Mike is, or even Edok. In fact, let's go on board with the Hassman, because I get a sneaky feeling he is going to be pitting. Yep, he is, so he makes his way into the pits, does not speed, so that was good from him. Now, one way we will have to keep our eye on is definitely either Bryn Mike against James. James getting that tyre change done. Where is Norwich City? He's just coming across the final, or he's coming across the start-finish line now. Where is James in relation to all of this? He's just coming out of the pit lane. Now there's Mike. Will they be side by side coming out towards the pit lane? Here we go, Mike coming around turn 1. James is ahead of the Red Bull. So James now up into P3. He's actually gone to set the mediums. Oh no. That is not good for the Haas driver. He could have gone on the set of the softs for the end of the race. But he started on the mediums as well. And James picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. This is going back towards for the Haas driver. Mike now with the DRS on the back of the Haas driver. Coming up towards the third chicane. Going around the outside. Oh, this is going to be tight between the pair of them. Mike's had to cut the corner just so he didn't avoid contact. And Mike has just lost out more time to the Haas driver and more time to those guys up out ahead. Bredbank has now managed to get himself up into DRS of the Renault driver. Has he actually gotten DRS? So that's the question. Yes, he does. Bredbank, remember, he has got himself that wing damage. And Mike is really close to the back of James, both on a fresh set of the tyres, one on a softer compound though. Doesn't look like he will opt to go around outside of the chicane, but turn one, we're going to see a different story as Bredbank now all over the back of the Renault. Will he try and go for a dive down towards turn one? No, he does not. He just stays behind him at the moment. And Mike not able to get past James either. Meanwhile, Smitsky has managed to get past Big W. This was for P10. Bredbank picks himself up yet another time penalty. So at this stage, Bredbank could be finishing behind Frey. So Frey is actually also on for a pretty good result as well. Ibo has only just managed to make his way into the pits. Would he be ahead of Dave though? That's the real question. Ibo now just coming into his pit box. Changing his tyre. Where is Dave? Has gotten past Ibo, but Ibo now is just coming out of the pits. And he is, in fact, his teammates even gotten past him as well. Meanwhile, this battle, 4P3. Hybrid Mike has managed to get past James, but James still all over the back of the Red Bull. But with Mike having that DRS, it's going to be difficult, near impossible for James to get past, although he did look like he had the much better run coming out of the final chicane. And I don't think James is going to send one up the inside, so that is James down into P4. And Bredbank is still not able to get past the Renault driver. All of this is helping these two just behind him, especially with them being on fresher tyres. And the guy up ahead has not got wing damage, whereas Norwich City does have wing damage. Ricardo picks himself up yet another 3-second time penalty. And I think he's maybe going to try and pit again for a set of the softs soon, or he's going to try and take them to the end of the race. But wow, what a race this has been so far. Oh, there's yellows. Yellows in sector 2/sector 3. Who is, oh, I think it's just a lap car getting out of the way. Had me shook then. Had me shook. Has Mike got DRS to these guys up ahead though? I don't think he has. No, he doesn't, but Bredbank now closer than ever. I'm sorry, I've just paused that there. Both going side by side in the chicane, both a little bit of tap. Oh, this is very close between the pair of them. It's allowed Mike to see if he can go past the Ferrari as well. Both have DRS. Now, oh no, don't go 3 wide. We're going 3 wide towards turn 1. This is not going to end well. Norwich City holds the inside, but Bredbank has the inside for turn 2. Bredbank now is your race leader, but that is at the moment because he has got himself a wad of penalties. Frey has managed to get past, has managed to get past Frey. Norwich City picks himself up yet another 3-second time penalty. Mike is all over the back of Norwich City, with James also just being up there as well. Mike looking to see if he can go down the inside. And it's just compromised his run. James has now managed to actually get the move done on the Red Bull. Both still side by side, both with DRS. This is not going to end well going through the chicane. And they've both lost themselves up a lot of time. Two of those guys up ahead, both having a little bit of contact. Mike's had to cut the chicane once again and is now down in the P4 when he was battling for the lead of the race. He's now down into 4th. Wow. 5 cars battling for the lead of the race. This can end very well, or this can end very bad. But James now, I think, is actually in the net lead of the race. Mike's picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, so I'm not going to keep a check on the penalties. And I think this actually could be Eduk's race to win. I think Eduk has a penalty himself. Oh, Mike's hit the back of James. Has Mike just picked himself up wing damage though? I'm trying to see, I can't get a clear view of it. I think Mike has got wing damage. I couldn't see it properly, but I think Mike has got wing damage on the back of the Haas driver. So things are going bad to worse for the Red Bull. And all of this, as I said, is helping out the racing point of Eduk, who's only a second behind these guys. Meanwhile, Norwich City has got himself even more wing damage now, but is still keeping with the Ferrari driver off the Bredbank. Oh, this is gonna be something coming up towards this chicane. There are 5 laps left to go of the Canadian Grand Prix, and what a battle this is turning out to be. Norwich City has not managed to get himself past, so he's just had to back out at the moment. James picks himself up, yet another 3-second time penalty, so all this is actually helping Eduk massively. I think Eduk is actually technically your race leader. Either him or it's either Bryn Mike. But look at this. This is all so close between these guys. The top 4. Wow. Bredbank picks himself up, yet another 3-second time penalty. So I think actually he may get jumped by a curse coming out at the end of the race. As now got 4 laps left. And this 4-way battle for the lead is not dropping anytime soon. I'm starting to lose my voice commentating all of this, but James now all over the back of the Renault of Norwich City. He's just going to have to opt to brake a bit earlier than what he's normal. And same with either Bryn Mike. All these guys still within the DRS range. We've got a DRS train for first place. Norwich City still not able to get past Bredbank, but James looking to see if he can go down the inside of the Renault driver. Coming up towards the chicane. Bredbank has had to try and defend that, so James is going to be compromised there, but he's managed to get past down in the chicane. James now up into his 2nd place, and I think James is now actually going to be in your race lead. He's looking to see if he can go past the Ferrari driver, going in towards turn 1, not able to do so. Norwich City has also been compromised. He's hit the back of the Haas, but I don't think he's lost any more wing damage than what he has already gotten. And what a battle this is for first place. Aledi has managed to get himself past Frey, Frey being on 18 lap old hard tyres. But oh my god, Mike now looking to see if he can pick up this final podium position. This is all prior to penalties. But here we go, James all over the back of Bredbank. I know these two can be very aggressive on their day, and it looks like it is their day for this aggression. James, DRS wide open. Will he get past the Ferrari? He looks to go in the inside to the chicane. Now going side by side in the chicane. James has managed to get past and is now your race leader. Bredbank has not given up yet though. James looks like you've got a bad exit out coming out of the final corner. And Bredbank not with the DRS actually, but has got the slipstream. Is he going to go for a dive down in towards turn 1? No, he's not, and he's just going to have to stay behind the Haas driver. I've also realised Bredbank's actually got himself penalties and wing damage, and James has actually come out just behind his teammate. Oh no, Dave's in a bad situation. But that's compromised the run. Other Mike picks himself up. Yet another 3-second time penalty. So I think this is actually Eduk's now for the win. And Norwich City all over the back of Bredbank. Bredbank not managed to have himself the best run coming out of turn 7. All in a DRS train. Bryn Mike still just staying behind these guys. And James, if he wants to try and win this race, he's going to have to hammer it down these last 2 laps. But Bryn Mike now looking to see if he can go down the inside of Norwich City, down towards the hairpin. Got to be careful with Bredbank up ahead and has gotten the move done. And Bryn Mike now up into 3rd, but it doesn't look like his battle is over yet. They're still side by side coming in down the back straight as Yellow's in sector 2. I don't know who that is. But Bredbank now looking to see if he can go around the outside of James. Going in towards the final chicane. Both going to be side by side. James looking very slow coming out of chicane. Bryn Mike now looking to see if he can go past the Ferrari. Coming up towards the start-finish line. Up into turn 1. Both with DRS open. Mike has got a much better run. Going around the outside. Mike, what a move. But he's had to go and cut around the outside. Didn't have enough room. Had to take the scenic route. And is now still side by side with Norwich City coming in towards the first chicane. And Norwich City now back up into 3rd. It was looking so promising for Mike. And is now still down in 4th place. Oh my goodness. This battle. Whoa. This is looking interesting. But James has now pulled out that 1-second gap from the Bredbank. He's going to need to pull out more gaps than that if he wants a chance of winning this race, because at the moment Eduk is the one in the lead of the race. He's going to want to try and pull. In fact, let me have a look. The gap to the leader, he's 2.9 seconds. James, I think, only needs to pull out another 10th, and there you go. I think James is now your race leader at the moment. Unless something drastic happens, it looks like James will be your race winner after all of that. But Norwich City now all over the back of Bredbank. As we go in the final lap of the race, there was a bit of wing damage from someone. I don't know who that was. I think that may have been either Bryn Mike. And it has gone from bad to worse for the Red Bull driver. I'm now starting to go lightheaded because this has been insane. I am also sorry for swearing, but oh my goodness, this race has been absolutely insane. James has now pulled that gap to 1.5 seconds. Oh, this battle is insane. We have got the two Williams that are battling each other as well for the final point. And what a race it has been. Wow, Norwich City now all over the back of the Ferrari. This is 4P2. I think he'll get it on penalties anyway, but I think it's just for more pride for the beginning, just for the end of the race, just wanting to make sure he takes that P2. But this man on your screen right here, it looked like it went bad for him at the start, but wow, has he driven a race. James has come home to win at Canada, Montreal. James, what a win. For the minute, he does retain that P1. Ira Bryn Mike picks up, I think that's his first podium of the season, with Edok going in fourth. Where will Bredbank finish though? Is McCursk going to be close enough? I'm going to keep an eye on it because the lady's only just behind McCursk. Will there be a move going in towards the final chicane? No, there won't. McCursk still maintains that P6, but will it stay? He does finish behind Bredbank, and the lady picks up P6 as well, and Frey finishes in P8. Oh my goodness, I think that is the best race I have seen from D3. Wow, what a race. Big W ends up finishing P10, Smiski finishing P9. A good result for the Renault driver. Probably not where he wanted to finish, but nonetheless, done a good job. Debut of Ricciardo picking up P11. Oh. And we've got this battle for the final point. Ghost Recon and Ryan B. Up to the line. It was very close, but Ghost picks himself at that final point. In fact, Ibo does because of the lack of penalties. So Ibo picking up that final point for the Williams. Whew. I need a breather after that. Oh my goodness, that was non-stop action. Wow. But James, I think, picked up that final, also picked up the final fastest lap, sorry. It was either him or Ricardo TV picks up that the fastest lap, but congratulations to James. What a race. Oh my goodness. And the other two as well. Well, to be fair, the top five, that was just insane. The final 7 laps. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh man. Look at that. Aledi was one of the only ones that did not pick him. In fact, he was the only one that did not pick himself up the time penalty. And that benefited him massively, finishing in P6. But there you have it, James finishing in first, with Norwich City in second, Iverson might finishing in P3, with Eduk in fourth, Bredbank finishing in fifth, with Valedi in sixth, Kursk finishing in seventh, Frey in eighth, Smiski in ninth, with Big W rounding out the top 10. Ricardo getting himself 2 points on his debut race. Good going from him, with Ibo in 12th, and Ghost and Ryan B were P13 and P14. I think Maka was the one that finished in P15, sorry. And I can't remember who was down from 16th to 20th. And all I know is Cam was the one that finished in 20th, and I think Jasper was the one that finished 19th because of him actually DNFing. I think it was him and Cam were the only two that ended up DNFing. So good going from that. But wow, that is, as I said, the best D3 race I think I have seen. Absolutely insane. And I am very happy that I managed to commentate that one, because that was a very good race. James has now managed to bring that gap down to 7 points to Adri for this championship lead. And as I said, Adri is going to have his work cut out for him for this championship battle. Thank you very much for everyone watching. As I said, that was very enjoyable to watch, very enjoyable to commentate on. I hope you guys did enjoy as well. We will catch you guys actually next week for the Japanese Grand Prix for Division 3 starting at 6:20 UK time. Division 1 is currently going on at the moment, so make sure you tune into that. And also D2 will be starting in about 10 minutes time. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will catch you guys next week for the Japanese Grand Prix.